is in. We're not talking about the bald eagle. We're talking about bald men and women. Yay, hooray to us bald people, whether you have gotten that way because of illness or because you just want to be like that. Or I don't consider going bald an illness. So maybe you decided, you're tired of the landing strip and the helicopter pad. Just get rid of it. That's what I did. Be a Kid Again Day. Yeah, I want to talk about that in just a bit. Be a Kid Again Day. It is also, no, that's what George Harrison did, but it is Coca-Cola Day. Math 2.0 Day. That's what it's come down to. We have to call it Math 2.0 to get people excited about math. It's Math 2.0 Day. Do you know what Math 2.0 means? Don't worry, I don't either. I don't. It's National Freeze Pop Day, and the way it's been the past couple of days, a nice freeze pop would be good. It's also National Ice Cream Sundae Day. So, it begs the question. Would you prefer a freeze pop or an ice cream sundae? You know, the popsicle got me into trouble, so I think maybe I would go with the ice cream sundae. Savor the comic, unplug the drama day. And let's face it, whether it's cocaine in the White House, Maura Healey out of Dodge, there's plenty of drama that goes on here in the Commonwealth. Savor the comic, unplug the drama. On this date in 1948, the Women in the Air Force program. The Air Force, U.S. Air Force, which just got underway the year prior, accepts its first female recruits. In 2011, the Space Shuttle Atlantis is launched into its final mission of the Space Shuttle program. You know, I mixed emotions about the Space Shuttle program. I didn't want to see it end, but our government, which was funding a lot of the Space Shuttle program and using military personnel to do it, didn't have the funds to keep it going. They had run their course. I'm glad we have folks like Tesla owner. He's not Tesla owner, but he is the owner of Tesla, funding these missions. I think he's got a better idea. Maybe that's why he is the richest man in the United States of America. But I love the space program, kind of born into the space program. So I'd like to see it keep going. What else do we have today? A lot of things on the docket. Next hour, we are going to be joined by Dr. Scott Whitaker. Dr. Scott Whitaker. I will say this about Dr. Whitaker. He has played a massively important role in my life. And it's going to be a pleasure to have him on the radio. I've heard him do a few other programs. So hopefully we can keep him leveled. What I mean by that is sometimes he can get a little foul of mouth. And I did write to him, please, this is real terrestrial radio. We can't use language like that. But he's passionate about what he does, and I can say what he did for me, out of the ballpark. Out of the ballpark. As we continue on Brian's Beat, quote of the day. Quote of the day. So I don't know if you had a chance to hear me with Barry on Barry's show on Monday. What I decided to do is rewrite a quote from Thomas Sowell into my verbiage. I think it's very important for what I'm doing today and for us in life. So the Brian's Beat quote of the day comes from this idiot talk show host. But I think it's really good. Here it is. There are rarely any solutions, only compromises. And whatever you do to deal with a human imperfection, it creates another problem. Then you wind up recompensating for the original imperfection. Inevitably, one group likes the compromise while another fraction looks to change that compromise. Does it make sense? Too many compromising words in there? Let me try it again. There are rarely any solutions, only compromises. And whatever you do to deal with a human imperfection, that human imperfection could be a crime. It could be considered a crime now when it wasn't ever a crime before. But whatever that imperfection is, there's always somebody who comes up with the light bulb solution to fix that problem. But what it does is it creates another problem somewhere down the road. Classic examples would be Roe v. Wade. That was aimed at correcting an imperfection dealing with women's rights, health rights. 49 years later, after a lot of squawking and balking and whatever, Roe has been wiped off the books. Now, I'm not trying to get into an argument pro or con about Roe v. Wade. What I'm trying to say is you had what was seemingly a solution, but it wasn't. It was some type of compromise. You had a lot of people who were in favor of a woman's right to choose. And, of course, you had a lot of people that were not in favor of a woman's right to choose. And so what we had here in the United States was a lot of squawking left and right. Left and right. Same thing with affirmative action. Some people love it to death. Others hate it, want to see it gone. And then you've got people in between want to see affirmative action gone, but leave the Civil Rights Act alone. You know, you've got all kinds of people. What I'm getting at is there are rarely any solutions, only compromises. And whatever you do to deal with a human imperfection, it creates another problem. And then you wind up recompensating for the original compromise, which leads to yet another imperfection. Inevitably, one group likes the compromise while the other fraction looks to change said compromise. Any thoughts on that? 508-996-0500. That's how you get onto the program today. I'm calling this a generational flashback. Doesn't have to be, but today is Coca-Cola Day. I am not going to look over 366 days to find out if there's a Pepsi Day. But I will ask you, for the sake of conversation, Coke or Pepsi? Coke or Pepsi? Coke or Pepsi? Welcome back. I'm Brian. Coke or Pepsi? You know, I can't tell the difference, but I know many people can. So do you prefer Coke or Pepsi? And that could be Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, Coke or Pepsi. 508-996-0500. Welcome.
Good morning, Brian. I'm just going to have to say Coca-Cola.
Really?
Pepsi, to me, it's got like a med and C kind of aftertaste I don't care for. I notice, you know what I notice? Maybe this might be part of the secret ingredient in Coca-Cola. I think they might have a little dab of cinnamon in there.
Cinnamon?
That's my, that's what I've always thought. But I could be wrong.
Well, they took the cocaine out.
Yeah, they did a long time ago.
They packed it up and they moved it over to the White House.
Yeah, right. You know, an important news story you need to keep an eye on. I was watching NECN, New England Cable News Network.
Yes.
And about UPS.
Yeah, I hear they might go on strike, yeah.
You know, last time they went on strike was in 1997, and it went on for 15 days. And according to them, the news story, UPS is the second most trusted company, and it's the largest package carrier. They made an annual profit of $200 billion. They process over 100 billion packages, and they have over 400,000 employees. And they still haven't agreed on anything. UPS says, well, we put AC in your delivery vans. What else do you want more? And the union is saying, we want better wages, we want more full-time positions, and we want the surveillance cameras out of the vans, the delivery vans. So that's the snafu on the odds in the new contract.
So they want the cameras out. So I guess are they fearful that some of their drivers might start pilfering some of the product?
No, I guess they said they want it for safety purposes, the company, but they're saying, the employees are saying, we don't want to be constantly surveilled. Basically, the employees feel the company's not trusting them to do their job.
Sure.
They feel it's an intrusion.
Well, of course, I wonder how those drivers would feel if a gunman came up and tried robbing them of their packages.
Right. So the company is saying it's for safety, but the thing is, the contract expires July 31st, and many people rely on medications coming through in UPS, and if they go on strike, I mean, right now the supply chain in the U.S., is not good right now. As
fragile
far as
at best.
Very fragile, correct.
Yeah.
And you compound that, plus in Long Beach, California, the container company with all those the workers out there, they're working too without a contract. And the other thing is, the rail workers, they too are working without a contract. So
I thought the rail workers got a
storm.
contract. Didn't they?
They did?
Didn't they? I thought they did. I thought back in the fall that the president came up. You remember the president came up with this grandiose plan, and apparently they signed off on it. That's what I thought. I could be wrong.
That news story came out, but that was a Band-Aid. They didn't come up. They
didn't? Okay, all right. I get you.
But these are major news stories that I'm bringing to your attention that you need to watch closely. But this UPS story, to me, is very important.
Well, what do you want to see happen? Do you want... my guess is you don't want to see a strike. Does that mean the union gets its wishes, or the company stands put and the drivers decide not to strike?
Well, there's going to have to be... What do you want? Wages,
what do you want?
You know what? It's going to come down to wages. I think that the surveillance cameras, that's probably something that's the company's going to end up keeping. But more full-time positions and wages, I think those are the very major issues, I think, in this contract. So if it comes down to it, you know what it is. It's money. It's going to be money. It always is,
one way or the other.
Right, and job security. And the cameras, I think they're going to stay in the vans, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I think, as I piece it all together from what you've told me and what I've seen on the news, and by the way, I did see that on New England Cable News last night and this morning, and I heard it on the radio news when I was driving in, and ABC News is also carrying that story. But I think you throw in, let's get the cameras out as just another measure to make sure you get the money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You
They don't care about the cameras that much. That's right.
Right.
They're dangling a carrot out there.
Right. All right. It was good talking to you.
Nice
Stay
talking to
out of the
you,
hot
too.
sun, all right, Brian?
I try my best. Thank you. 508-996-0500. On the question of Coke or Pepsi, that was a vote for Coke on that side. I can't tell the difference. You give me a can of Coke or a bottle of, I haven't had a bottle of Coke and a Pepsi in a long time. I don't think I've had a bottle of Coke in a long time. I can't tell the difference. Most of the time I've had one or the other. It's been in a can. And I don't drink soda that much. Maybe that's it. Maybe if I were to drink soda more often, I might be able to tell the difference between Coke or Pepsi, but I don't, and don't think I will be in the very near future. Let us see. So, in the fall, that first Tuesday in November, voters here in the Commonwealth decided that it would be okay if there was a surtax on folks that made over $1 million per year. And the proponents of the surtax kept on telling us, oh, look, people won't leave the state because of the surtax. Well, here's a case where those proponents were absolutely wrong. My guess is Grant Williams will not be the only person, and probably has not been the only person, to pack his bags and leave. Who's Grant Williams? Well, if you follow the Boston Celtics, you know he's one of the forwards on the team. Decent player. All-star caliber, no, but a very good player. A player that the team liked, and the Celtics offered Grant Williams a $48 million contract. Now, that's spread over 4 years. So I'm just breaking it down evenly. So 12 million, 12 million, 12 million, 12 million. Grant Williams said no. And he didn't say no because of the $48 million. He didn't. He said no partly because Massachusetts has the surtax. Honestly, not my words, his. And so what I decided to do, okay, let's take a look. So again, averaging it out, 12 million per year. Now, a lot of these contracts, we don't have the details, but a lot of these contracts, it might start off at $16 million this year, and then the next year another 16, and then make its way to 48 million over the next couple of years. Sometimes they do it like that, sometimes they don't. But at any rate, breaking it down, 12 million. What you look at is, how much is that for the whole time period? So at $12 million times 5%, because that's the regular tax, 5%, that's $600,000 a year. $600,000 a year. You add that surtax of 4% on top of that, and you get $444,000. So the 1 year total is $1,040,000 on a $12 million contract. Now, if you think of $1,040,000 over 4 years, it's probably not too bad. But the fact of the matter is, that's $1,040,000 times 4, which comes out to $4,160,000. Now, in my book, That's a huge difference. Grant Hill said no because he can do the math, and if he can't do the math, he has accountants and bookkeepers who can. And they said to him, you're going to lose a lot of money here. Now, maybe someone could have said, hey, Grant, what you could do is start a business and put this money into your business and take what you think you're going to need each and every year for a salary. Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But be that as it may, there are options out there. Grant Williams took the option, no thank you, I'll go someplace else for $48 million a year, and he did. Grant Williams went to the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks. Now, in the state of Texas, they don't have a 4% surtax on salaries $1 million or over. In fact, in the state of Texas, they don't have a state income tax. So now you're Grant Williams. You're making $48 million over 4 years. And that money is not going to be taxed, at least not as an income tax. I'm sure he'll have a property tax and stuff like that, but it won't be an income tax. Now, if Grant Williams and his financial professionals can figure it out, don't you think that there are many a millionaire here in the Commonwealth that have financial professionals that could help them also figure it out? Good move by Grant Williams. And the sad reality is we're going to have more people here in the Commonwealth doing something very similar. Hats off to Grant Williams. Tip of the hat. 508-996-0500. That's how you get on Brian's Beat today. It is time now for the Bitcoin Business Barometer as we measure the universal crypto marketplace for today, July 8th. As you know, I get these numbers each and every Saturday and every day that I tabulate the numbers from CoinMarketCap.com. CoinMarketCap.com. So what do we have here? Bitcoin down $223 from last Saturday. Last Saturday at this time. Bitcoin coming in this morning at $30,189. Ethereum down $59, coming in at $1,916. Binance Coin is also down. Binance Coin is $235, down $6. XRP, Cardano, and Dogecoin are all even, same as last week. XRP coming in at 46 cents, Cardano 28 cents, Dogecoin 6 cents. And Solana is back in the top 7, coming in this morning at $21. Last week it was replaced by Litecoin. Litecoin is one behind Solana again, so it did not make the vaulted top 7. That's your Bitcoin Business Barometer for today, July 8th. Again, we get our numbers from CoinMarketCap.com. We were just talking about Texas and how they don't have a state income tax. They do have the death penalty. And this guy from Texas back in 2019, you've probably heard the story. He drove about 600 miles to El Paso. That goes to show you how huge the state of Texas is. He went from North Texas to El Paso, which is right there on the Mexico and New Mexico border. And Patrick Crusius unloaded a gun inside and outside a Walmart. He killed 23 people. He had social media that was just filled with a lot of hate crime material. And so the feds decided, well, we're going to take this guy to court. There were 90 counts, 45 of which were hate crime counts. Patrick Crucius ended up with 90 consecutive life sentences. 90 consecutive life sentences. Look, I get it. There's a charge for each crime. It is hard to believe that a person could live through 2 life sentences, especially for the heinous crime that this guy committed. 90 consecutive life sentences. Now, as I said at the beginning, the state of Texas has the death penalty. And the state of Texas has decided no matter what the federals have done, they're still going to take this guy to trial. And he could get the death penalty. As I sit here and think, I'm a person that is totally against the death penalty. There are people that I would say deserve the death penalty. This guy would be one of them. I just wouldn't vote for it. But this guy fits into that category. If I'm him, he's facing 90 consecutive life sentences, and I'm not him. But if I'm found guilty, and there's plenty of reason to believe that he will, because he confessed. Never mind getting caught in the act. He confessed. I think if I'm him, thinking about 90 consecutive life sentences, I might just say, let Texas take care of me. Let them get it out of their system. What would you do? I mean, what an awkward predicament to be in. 90 consecutive life sentences, who knows what's going to happen to you? Behind bars, even though it's a federal maximum security prison, I believe in Colorado. Texas, Texas is no prison sounds like fun. No jail is any fun. But if I'm this guy, do you really want to put up with 90 consecutive life sentences? What happens? Life sentence is what, 25 years? And I think the guy was 24, 23 years old when he committed the crime. So conceivably, he could make it through the first life sentence. Then it's on to the next one. Then it's on to the next. Yeah. Can you imagine what it's like in that third life sentence? You're sitting there thinking, well, I only have 87 more of these to go. Yeah, I get it. State of Florida. State of Florida says they will not accept driving privileges awarded to the documented undocuments from Rhode Island and Vermont. As you know, here in the Commonwealth, on Monday, we go into week 2 for illegals with proper paperwork to apply for a Massachusetts driver's license. My guess is Massachusetts folks will fall under the same category as those from Rhode Island and Vermont. And so you're thinking, well, if you know someone who is here illegally but has applied for and receives a driver's license, what would happen to them if they go to Florida and they get caught for some reason driving while while being an undocumented with documents, well, you're not going to be able to keep your driving privilege. And according to the DeSantis administration, you could be deported. So I guess the best thing for folks that are like that, it's probably not to drive in Florida, drive in Rhode Island, drive in Vermont, drive in Massachusetts. It comes back to the same old thing. Should we decide to be a sanctuary state and let the folks live and work here and pay taxes here, pay for the schools, pay for the schools too? But people don't want to go down that road. I hope somebody decides to come up with some type of ballot question so the people here in the Commonwealth can weigh it out, because I don't want the legislature trying to make that decision, pro or con, and you can decide what would be pro and what would be con. I think that is what the people here in the Commonwealth need to decide. Not just the Beacon Hill lawmakers, not the governor or governors, not the Registry of Motor Vehicles, not mayors, not city councils, not select boards. This is where the people need to speak out, one way or the other. One way or the other. As a person who lives here in the Commonwealth, I'm willing to accept what they say. Now, if it comes to something dealing with the surtax, and I'm in that category where I'm making over $1 million, I know what to do. I know how to preserve my income. People, by the way, same thing to you. The two golden rules when it comes to money: protect yourself, educate yourself. And then the third golden rule would be repeat 1 and 2. I know it's been out here for a little while. I had never heard the saying until early this morning. Maybe you've heard it. I'm sure you probably have. Bidenomics, which is a spin-off of Reaganomics. I don't know how to best explain what Bidenomics is. In fact, I think it's so convoluted, it's very difficult to try to explain Bidenomics. But what I can decipher is that the government, in this particular case, the federal government, is going to do its best to give taxpayers relief. If you're willing to work, and this is from the president's lips, if you're hardworking, willing to get out there and work, well, you deserve to have health care. Well, if you don't pay for health care on your own, then how's that health care going to get paid for? Got to lump it. Where's the savings? Uncle Joe, where is the savings? If you're like me, you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know. That's pretty plain. And there, he's trying to do the student loan forgiveness program. Forgive them on one side, tax them on the other. I'm telling you, everybody is going to be involved in this game, even if you weren't before. I feel sorry. I feel sorry for the folks like Woman Friend, who has no children. And if something like Bidenomics student loan passes, she ends up having to pay for all of those students that graduated college. She's a person who went to college, and between her and her family, they covered the nut. Now, that was a long time ago, but be that as it may, folks weren't making the kind of crazy money that people are able to make in this day and age. So to me, you're basically looking at a tit for tat. Bidenomics. My guess is we're going to hear a lot of that term, Bidenomics, between now and, let's say, the first Monday in November of 2024. This, my friend, is going to be a campaign term. Might want to call it a campaign slur, but it's out there. Bidenomics. Get used to it. Love it. Love it if you want. Unschooling stories when we come back on Brian's. Everybody's excited for our guest next hour, Dr. Scott Whitaker. He's a naturopathic doctor, and he's got some great news. You know, I'll share more about that in hour two, but he's going to join us right after ABC News at the top of the hour. Unschooling stories. In Westport, a couple of weeks from now, there will be an override vote, $3 million, of which $450,000 is supposed to help the schools so they can level services. Exactly what that means, I don't know. I actually read it in the Standard Times, and I wanted to type a message to the report. Exactly what does that mean? Because sometimes, and I don't want to point fingers, but in essence, I'm really doing that. You read something in a paper, you hear something in a newscast, and you hear it and you say, oh, okay. But then you don't exactly know what it is that they mean by what they say, because sometimes it's just not broken down into plain English. One of the things I learned a long time ago when I first started writing news was, remember, you have a lot of people out there that can only read at a 7th grade level. So make it appealing to that person. And it might sound like, well, then you're dumbing down the news, but what you're trying to do is make it comprehensible. So I can guess pretty much. What they're trying to say. Keep level services. So I read bits and pieces. I have friends who live in Westport. I used to live in Westport. And nowhere, and not one person that I've talked to in regards to this has said anything about cutting spending. They're trying to raise $3 million across the board, $450,000 for the schools. And one of the key things that I believe is that you need to cut your spending in order to keep things as level as possible. Do as many cuts as necessary before you start asking the taxpayers for millions upon millions of dollars. And so I kept on reading, and then we got to the part about schools. Westport schools could lose $450,000 without an override. And I got it right here. Where did it go? I had you right here. Where did you go? Why do you always disappear like that? So, Superintendent Thomas Aubin, Aubin, says any losses will be on top of those already inflicted, and these effects of which will be felt in the fall. We lost 3 class sizes, 1 first, 1 second, 1 third grade. So I sat back and I said, well, you lost 3 classes. You combine the students into the other. How many students were already gone because of COVID or mask mandates or whatever? We also lost 5 teachers' assistants. Teachers' assistants play a major role in caring for students with special medical needs during the school day. And I do feel sorry for some of these students, but at the end of the day, why is it incumbent upon the taxpayer to pay for those kind of medical needs? I'm asking the question. This is what else Aubin stated, and I really got a charge out of it. We've got major educational deficits in early literacy, and you need bodies to adjust to those issues. I would say this, Superintendent Aubin, instead of beefing up on sex ed in the classroom, how about taking some of that time and teaching proper reading skills, proper writing skills, proper comprehension skills? And then you might not have the early literacy problems that you say you need bodies for. Then the superintendent also states that, yeah, we need this $450,000. I have no idea what the superintendent's salary is. I will say this. Is the superintendent taking a pay cut? Is the superintendent taking a pay cut? My guess is he is not. Here's one other thing I'll add. What about the idea of, instead of having a 5-day school week, reducing to a 4-day school week? Consolidating a little bit more, not running the buses as much, that kind of stuff. Save some real money out there.